Good morning. What a beautiful day for a celebration. I don't know, when I got here at 8 o'clock this morning, it was still kind of rainy and cloudy, and even Corinne said, oh, what a dreary day. But we're going to forget about what it's like outside right now and focus on what's going on in here. And today, it's a celebration. Did you know that it's hard to find a definition of the word celebration without using the word to celebrate? But the best definition that I could find is this. Celebration can refer to the act of rejoicing or of honoring various things, or to various social gatherings or parties for the observance and participation. A social gathering, participation, the act of rejoicing or honoring. Every Sunday, you gather in this sanctuary for a celebration. You're all here this morning. Are you full of joy? Are you rejoicing? Are you ready to really take part in a celebration? Do you even know what you're celebrating? We celebrate birthdays and weddings and anniversaries. We celebrate holidays and the changing of the seasons. We celebrate life and lives well lived. And when we're feeling down, we celebrate the little things. But Sundays are the most important thing we celebrate. They are a regular time for us to gather together and remember who we are and whose we are. It is a time for us to press pause on the busyness of life, quiet our spirits, and listen for God's voice. It's a regular reminder that we're not alone. And it is our time to give thanks and praise to God. And not all Sunday celebrations are the same. Granted, some are downright predictable. But every once in a while, we step away from the ordinary and have a super celebration. Take last Sunday, for instance, the biggest celebration of the church year. We're an Easter people, and I'm sure that this sanctuary was full of joy and rejoicing. Did you feel that? Were you swept up in rejoicing? Did you celebrate the mighty power of God at the empty tomb? And in honor of our awesome God, did you dress a little nicer? Did you sing a little louder? Did you smile a little brighter? This Sunday, we're blessed to be having another party, another super celebration. Today, we're celebrating 150 years of United Methodist Women. And this morning's gospel from the book of John takes place shortly after the resurrection. Jesus appears to his disciples in the house where they were hiding from the Jews. And he tells them, peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, so I send you. Today, Jesus tells his disciples that he has fulfilled his mission. His ministry is complete. And then he also tells them that now it's their job. It's their job to be the light of the world. God the Father sent Jesus to show people a whole new way to live, to do God's will, to preach the gospel, heal the sick, feed the hungry, to love, to always love. Teacher, preacher, healer, servant, friend. He makes it clear today that he has the authority to commission his disciples to go and do the same, to imitate him, to be like him. And that is exactly what we're celebrating this morning. 150 years of women in mission. Women being the hands and feet of Jesus. This began in Boston 150 years ago when 8 women responded to this great commission of Jesus and formed the Women's Foreign Mission Society. These 8 women learned that women in India needed education and medical care. So they sent Isabella Thorburn to teach minds and Clara Swain to heal bodies. Through their service, they opened schools, clinics, and centers across India, some of which continue to operate today. As a group, United Methodist women worldwide continue to strive to fulfill the Great Commission of Jesus found in this morning's gospel. Whether it be in foreign lands or here at home, today we honor women who have stepped up and stepped out to support and transform the lives of women and children by sharing the love of Jesus. So yes, we definitely have the groundwork for a great celebration. We have joyful women. Joyful women? Yes, okay. And they're all gathered together to honor those who came before and those who continue to fight for women worldwide. And we have a reason to rejoice. 150 years. 150 years of women in service. But wait, there's still something missing. We need a way to express our joy. In this building, we need a way to praise God and thank Him for blessing us with women who have been committed to carrying out the mission that Jesus entrusted to those who follow Him. Perhaps what we yet need to make our celebration complete can be found in this morning's first reading, Psalm 96, verse 1. Oh, sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord, all the earth. Throughout the Bible, there are many references as to how to give God thanks and praise. From the earliest recorded songs of praise in the Psalms to the most powerful and beautiful hymn recorded in the New Testament, which is Mary's Magnificat, to the words of Paul in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 5. Speak to one another in psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart to the Lord. Give thanks always for all things to God the Father in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Yes, we found the missing link. No celebration is complete without music and singing. And I tell you, I love sitting right here because I feel part of the celebration when all these beautiful voices are up here. It's wonderful. So ladies, this morning, to make this a true celebration, you must follow the example of our ancestor Miriam. In Exodus 15, verse 20, we find these words. Then Miriam the prophetess, Aaron's sister, took a tambourine in her hand, and all the women followed her with tambourines and dancing. And Miriam sang back to them, "Sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted." We've been encouraged to express our love and thanksgiving to God through songs of praise. This is our active response to God's love. This morning, I would like to introduce to you 4 women who served God by celebrating Him through song. Their mission was to tell of God's works and mighty acts, His glory and majesty, His love and compassion, by writing hymns that could be sung by a group of people. These hymns have been passed on from generation to generation and are still sung by our congregations today. In fact, you've already met all 3 of these women through the hymns they wrote. In 1868, 1 year before the Women's Foreign Missionary Society was formed, Catherine Hankey wrote a hymn called I love to tell the story, which was our first hymn this morning. But she didn't just write and tell about Jesus' love. She lived it by organizing and teaching Sunday school to the rich and the poor throughout London, by sending money she received from her writing to foreign mission projects, and by traveling to South Africa to be a nurse and help her invalid brother. When Catherine was 30 years old, she experienced a serious illness, and during her long recovery period, she wrote a poem on the life of Christ, which was broken into 2 sections, and this hymn came from the second section entitled The Story Told. If you would all pick up a hymnal and turn to page 156 and look at the words of this beautiful poem, you will see the story of Jesus brought to life. Take a moment to read the words, and you will see that Catherine covers Jesus' life, focusing on his glory and love, but just touching on his birth, life, and resurrection. This hymn creates a desire to know more. Who is Jesus? Where do I learn the details of his life? Even after a lifetime of knowing Jesus, we still hunger to hear the story like new Christians, and the last verse affirms this. As we read the words of this hymn, we realize that the message it contains is as relevant for Christians today as it was when it was written nearly 150 years ago. This hymn celebrates Jesus and his love, which never go out of style. And that's a key component to a hymn. They are timeless. They last forever, and they look as fresh as they were when they were sung for the first time. Speaking of timeless, the second hymn we sang this morning, Be Thou My Vision, was written in the 8th century in Ireland, and thus has been in existence for around 1,300 years. It was translated from ancient Irish into English by Mary Byrne in 1905, and Eleanor Hull put the words into hymn form in 1912. It is one of the world's most loved hymns because of its timeless, beautiful melody and its visual language that exalts God above all other things. If you turn to page 451 in your hymnal, you will see that rather than referring to God in vague general terms, the lyrics ascribe specific titles to God: Vision, Lord, Best Thought, Light, Wisdom, True Word, Great God, Treasure, Heaven's Son, Heart, Ruler. These clear images provide fresh motivation to honor God supremely in our hearts and to celebrate all that he is. There are also some powerful women in mission who never leave their own homes, yet their service touches millions of lives. Music becomes their voice and outlet, and so it was with Fanny Crosby. She alone wrote the words to over 8,000 songs, and she didn't begin writing until she was 40 years old. In 1820, she lost her sight as a child because of an eye infection. However, she did not let this disability stop her from serving God and worshiping him in song, and she became known as the Queen of American hymn writers. Fanny's greatest skill was as a poet, and the shortest definition of hymn is special poetry set to music and addressed to God. Our closing hymn today, Blessed Assurance, was authored by Fanny Crosby in 1873. We've already heard it this morning as our prelude. And how many of you sat there and knew right off the top of your heads what hymn that was? If you turn to hymn number 369, you will hear these words echoed: Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. But then, Fanny makes the hymn even more personal, more emotional in the refrain. This is my story. that refrain is repeated 3 times so that not only the tune, but the words are played over and over in your head. The art of having the text be enough to convey a strong, lasting message is another characteristic of a hymn. The words can stand alone. The setting to music only enhances the power of the words. And her words in this hymn still give Christians hope as we place ourselves in God's story. Celebrations are about people sharing their joys and sorrows, and they surround their ideals and their beliefs and their experiences, and are often expressed in ways that become tradition for society. These 4 women are just 4 of countless others who were inspired to write through their joys and sorrows. Besides being an expression of faith, their hymns teach the lessons of Christianity. But even more than that, they are love stories. Because of the efforts of these 4 women, the hearts of countless men and women have been filled with love. Hymns reveal the most essential relationship in life, a loving response to God's love. We celebrate our relationship with Him. So let me ask you, and this is congregation participation time. How many of you here have ever been sent on a foreign mission trip to another country? Maybe to open schools or clinics or hospitals. Anybody? There? Where'd you go? Haiti. Cool. Anybody else? Haiti. Great. What did you do there?
I worked in a clinic with a doctor.
Okay, great. How many of you have served as a missionary here in our own country? Oh, a few more. Where'd you go? Just pop it out. Where'd you go?
New Mexico.
New Mexico? Redbird Mission. Okay, that's Kentucky, right? Yeah. Where'd you go? Lucasville. Okay. What did you do? Did you build? Did you clean? What did you do? Yeah? Both? Okay, great. Okay, so a few more have done mission work in our own country. How about right here in Norwalk? Right here in Norwalk, Ohio. Who does mission work here? What do you do? What is that? Oh, okay. Okay, great. Anybody else? Food pantries? Food pantries? We got a food pantry? You got stuff you do?
Community dinner.
Community dinner. Great.
We do as a church.
As a church.
As a church.
Okay, great. Wonderful. As a group of women, the UMW, we can do more and reach further, which was the intention of those 8 women back in 1869. But there are many opportunities to answer the call of Jesus to be in mission right here and right now as individuals. How many of you are presented with situations every day where you can be the face of Jesus to someone? Individually, we can tailor our lives to continue Jesus' ministry. Teacher, preacher, healer, servant, friend. How many of you have professions as teachers? Any teachers here? Teachers? Oh, I should face this way. It's all happening back here. How about healers? Any doctors, nurses? There, a few more. Okay, how about preachers? Are there any preachers out here? If so, you could trade spots with me. How many of you are mothers? Mothers? Oh yeah, we got a lot of moms here, don't we? I would like to mention one more strong woman this morning who was only a mother. She never wrote a hymn, founded a church, opened a hospital, or traveled to a foreign land. She led by example. She was the face of Jesus in her own home, to her own family. Her life and faith journey shaped Methodism in the ways we can still see today. She was the youngest of 25 children, married at age 19 and bore 19 children, 9 of which died in infancy. Left alone by her husband much of the time, she took seriously being the mistress of a large family and resolved to make time to nurture each child. She also made sure that all of them, even her daughters, received education. She attended to their spiritual upbringing, and while practicing her own daily devotions, introduced them to the grace of God. This woman was Susanna Wesley, whose occupation is listed as Mother of Methodism. Why? Because 2 of her sons, John and Charles, applied her example and teachings to the Methodist revival that they founded. Susanna answered Jesus' call to do what he did and live like he did in what may seem to be a very small way. But look at where her service brought us. Evidence as her influence as a mother, and perhaps even a bit of her sense of humor, can be found in our United Methodist hymnal. If you would turn to page Roman numeral 567, you will see directions for singing. Choir, pay attention. Our Methodist founder, John Wesley, under the spiritual influence of his wonderful mother, gave us these guidelines in 1761. And like the hymns, they are timeless. From the words of John Wesley, let me read just a few of these directions on how to celebrate and sing praise to God. Number 1, learn these tunes before you learn any others. Afterwards, learn as many as you please. Number 2, sing them exactly as they are printed here, without altering or mending them. And if you have learned to sing them otherwise, unlearn it as soon as you can. Can you just hear like a mother telling her child how to sing in church? I just hear this. Sing all. You always wondered why Methodists sing every verse of every song. Right here, John Wesley. He told us to do that, obviously influenced by his mother. See that you join with the congregation as frequently as you can. Let not a slight degree of weakness or weariness or bad weather or Christmas in April keep you from coming here. If it's a cross to you, take it up, and you will find it a blessing. This one, you all need to pay attention to this one. Every church, everywhere, needs to pay attention to number 4. Sing lustily and with good courage. Beware of singing as if you were half dead or half asleep. Yes, but lift your voice with strength. Again, I'm so glad I'm right here in front of you guys, because you sing. And then number 5, sing modestly. Do not bawl as to be heard above or distinct from the rest of the congregation, so that you destroy the harmony. Numbers 5, 6, sing in time. Keep in time with what you're singing. Don't go before, don't go after. But it's kind of funny, because if you read the rest of number 6, it says, this drawling way naturally steals on all who are lazy, and it is high time to drive it out from us and sing all our tunes just as quick as we did at first. There's moms telling you you're lazy, keep up, let's go. The last one says, above all, sing spiritually. Have an eye to God in every word you sing. Aim at pleasing him more than yourself or any other creature. From our beginning, United Methodists have been known as a singing people. Hymn singing has been a vital part of our worship of God. This book that you're holding in your hands right now is so much more than a book of hymns. This is our spiritual heritage. received from the past, celebrated right now in the present, and it'll be passed on to future generations. It contains hymns, it contains the rites of burial, rites of marriage, prayers, litanies, creeds. Next to the Bible, this book is the #1 tool to be used to celebrate your relationship with God. All you have to do is open it and participate. Remember, everything we have, everything we are, everything we do is by the grace of God. So be joyful and celebrate. Accept the commission that Jesus handed down to his disciples everywhere, and be his hands and feet wherever you go. And one day, when you look in the mirror, perhaps the face looking back at you will reflect Jesus. Amen.